program, and it's a joint program with Family Ministries and Health Ministries. And we want to look at one of the important topics for our young people who are trying to make a choice of their lifetime partners. And it's about genetic counseling. We are going to hear a lot of things and add to what we have already. I know most of you have chosen already, but we are going to rethink and re-choose and polish our choices. Amen. Let us start from using the hymn, "Oh, let me walk with thee, my Lord." Indeed, if we walk with God and take instruction about what we are learning and what we have learned already, we are going to make progress. And so, please, the choristers, give us the tune. Please, hymn what? 554. 554, please. Oh, let me walk with thee, my Lord. Hymn 554. Shall we look at this Bible verse? Hosea 4, verse 6. Hosea 4, verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Because you have rejected knowledge, I also will reject you from being priests for me. Because you have forgotten the law of your God, I also will forget your children. Amen. So at this point, we are going to invite our speaker for this evening in the person of Dr. Mrs. Stella Appiah to help us dive into genetic counseling. Amen.
Amen.
You are welcome, dear.
Thank you. Welcome, Kakrakeni. Thank you, Home and Family Life, and then the Department of Health. It's going to be a discussion, and where we need to provide information, that will also go on. My dear, if you can come a bit forward, it will be beautiful. All right. So let's have a word of prayer before we start. Father Divine, we thank you this afternoon. We thank you for the privilege to know more. We pray that you come and lead us in this discussion to your glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Yeah, so as it was introduced to us, we are going to have discussions on genetic counseling. And the genetic counseling, when you look at it, the topic itself looks a bit big, but We are just going to break some things down so we can understand. Before I go in, I want to ask few questions. If you want to answer me, you can. If you don't want to answer to, it's enough. We are a mixture of people here, those who are already married and those who are yet or contemplating marriage, and those who have even all right, so my question is, I have a couple of questions, and I said that it will cover almost all of us here. I want to begin from those who are already married with children. Were there some medical tests that were done before you got married? Anybody here, if you want to, then you tell me yes. You never, because you married long ago. It's very important, and I love that she's married for how many years? Over 40 something, over 50 something years. Yes. And so it's magical, eh? With one man. Oh. Very well. So if you look at during her time, there were things that were taken for granted. And you wouldn't say you want to blame her. The environment where she found herself, that was the culture prevailing. If you should ask a similar question from somebody who lived in the Western world, you see that it might be different, because we come from a different part of the world. Thank you. Yes, I saw other hands. So the same question. Were there some tests? Because she is over 50 years, so we are moving from those who may follow her. Why? Mad people. Good. So, in fact, we're going to go there. It's very good you have come, so it will follow closely. They never, during those days, hardly were they able to do some medical exam, but they had their own way of screening your partner for you. They had their own way. And even up to today, we still can trace to families and say that, as for this family, this condition prevails in the family, so don't go there. These people, they are thieves. Don't go there. These people, they can't control their anger. Don't go there. They have a lot of things they will tell you. In fact, to the point of saying these people, they are poor. Don't go there. As if poverty is also inherited. Oh, financial experts will take us through the genetics of. Yes, we will look at it. Yes. And in fact, my grandmother told me same. Said that family and that town, they are I don't see them taking care of their wives and their children. And she gave me instances, so that place, don't go there. So, good. And then I saw her.
Yeah, I think we did some tests. I just don't remember the test because it was my wife's initiative.
Okay.
So, to be honest, at that time, she will be the one, okay, let's go and do this test. So we ran a lot of tests, but I just presented my body. If you
Because
ask
of
me,
love.
yes, because of love. But if you ask me,
You didn't question it.
No. Hey, if I don't do
obedience.
it, I'm not married. So I have to do it.
I love that one.
But I don't remember the exact. If you ask me, I can't recall. If he was to be here, yes, yeah.
So there were tests run, and he had to present his body. But there were no arguments. He didn't argue at all. But basically, what was the reason? No, you said if you don't present yourself, the marriage will not come on.
The counselor, our counselor requested that we do certain.
So it was the counselor's initiative,
yes,
but not from your own will.
No. Me, I was ready to go ahead. I thought
I
I
love
was.
that one. We'll
I
get
thought I
there.
was okay. There was no problem
Yeah.
with me. Why the test
Why
and all that.
the test?
But later, maybe as we move on, when certain things started coming up, I understood why. Probably I should have even done more tests because there were tests that we didn't do that later brought issues.
Okay, good. So we have seen that some marriage counselors request certain tests to be done. Yes.
We did it, and I suggested that we.
Also from the woman's perspective.
Yeah.
But for her, she's a health worker. So
We did sickle cell,
okay,
blood group,
okay,
the resource.
okay.
We did.
Well, she's mentioning them because she's a health worker.
Yeah.
So she's giving
HIV,
her- okay.
hepatitis.
Oh, that's good.
Yes. HIV.
That's good. All right. So for her, she went to look at all other medical tests. In fact, this topic limited me to genetics. But she went for this evening at 8 p.m. We are going to look at what she mentioned. We are going to look at medical screening in general. So we'll go more beyond this one, but we will also consider as a church. Yes, Miss Auntie? Online. On Zoom. Yeah, I'll share it. The link, I'll share the link with you. Yes, it seems we have even led them. We have taken the lead. So advantage here.
I don't remember doing anything.
You don't remember?
Madam,
you are here with you. Did you people do any test at all?
The point is
any
that
medical screening at all?
I remember Pastor Nobuafo was specific with HIVs.
Okay.
Because he has stories.
Those days, yeah.
My wife had done it so recent. And I don't know why I didn't do it. Maybe I was so sure.
You didn't do it?
Yeah. I told Pastor I don't know why I should go for HIV test. Because and it was saying you've done public health. Why will you? I said, I don't know why I should do. I kept on saying that. But for the, should I say sickling or your genotype, that one, my parents kept on saying I'm A. Because I was inheriting some kind of fever-like kind of disease from my father. And they said it's unique with those with A. So they kept on saying, I believe.
Okay, that was assumptions.
And I believed this, so I didn't really bother.
So as for you, you were just a stubborn cat.
It's not stubborn. I trust I didn't have maybe faith.
It's key. We'll talk about them. Because we have had cases like that. Who else? Okay, so I've finished with that phase of my question. The other question I want to ask is there anybody here anticipating marriage, medical tests, and others?
Okay. I think the world has now advanced. So we are being educated day in and day out to go for several tests in order to check whether the two are compatible. Yeah, because sometimes, even though the two of you may like or you might love yourself, but when it comes to medical wise, you are not compatible, so that you can be advised as to what to do.
So, personally, you believe those things?
Sure.
Okay. So you don't have any contrary view on whether it should be done or not? Okay. Since we have elders here, Seventh-day Adventist Church, because it's taking place here. Is there any other person contemplating marriage? That's the gentleman spoke. Anybody contemplating marriage? I'm not saying now. Do you wish to get married in future? Do you wish to get married in future? You want to? Yeah. And what are some of your expectations when it comes to medical screening?
Okay, I also believe in health.
Okay.
So we're also trying to go for advice from the medical people.
Okay. What if your will-be partner says, I'm not ready to do it, what will happen?
To my side or to my view, she's ready. So.
Oh, she is?
Yes.
So for you, you have?
Yes.
Okay. So you are immediately ready, isn't
Yes.
it? Good. And so have you started, or you are yet to start?
We are yet to start.
Okay. You are yet, but have you started any form of counseling?
Yes.
Okay. So you have not yet reached the level where they will tell you to go and do something.
Yeah.
His side is also very important. The reason is that he has already made a choice. He has started counseling. So he has a lot of things. If the partner says, I will not, and I'm not ready, what will happen?
That one, God will be done.
I love that. And you see, these things, we will laugh over them, but that is the reality. I had a couple from Ashama district who came to me, a couple to be, and just like he has spoken, they had almost made everything ready. And so when they got to that part of the counseling, then the pastor referred them to me. When they came, they had already made up their minds. Whatever I said never changed anything. They went ahead. Their first child, SS. Because the other partner was a healthcare assistant. So for her, she's a healthcare assistant who is also a health worker. So she has a lot of idea about the condition. And the gentleman, and then her only reason she gave was that for 3 suitors, they were all AS. So for this time, enough is enough. So she went ahead. Everything. She was insistent. The gentleman at a point got confused because he was not a health worker. And he had then heard some things he had never heard before out of our counseling session. And then he then said, no, I think we have to do it. And the lady said, oh, me, I know my status. That was when the lady said, me, I'm AS. I said, oh, okay, then, gentlemen, you do. Oh, man, I've made him go to check. So the lady brought all the results from her end. And then the pastor called me and said, I've made them go to Lancet. So the results have just been sent. So he forwarded it to me in my mail. And then it confirmed that they were both AS. And, you know, the lady was so determined that for this one, she's not going to miss the marriage. And so I informed the counselor and everything. They went ahead to marry. After a while, we went to that church for a program for her to walk to me, looking so miserable and all of that. And I said, oh, I've given birth. I said, oh, congrats, but you never told me. I had SS. So quiet. I said, but you knew it already. So you should not be in the state of shock. You knew the outcome. It was not something that was hidden from you, but you made a choice. So, and it has started bringing, in fact, and she was then in the mother's house. The day she saw me at church, she was no longer in the guy's house where the two of them were. She went to deliver, and then she has remained there. She has not been able to move back because the guy said that the counselor told us we should go and rethink about it. You wanted the marriage to, in fact, the blame had now been shifted on the lady. So we have that. It's there. You will see that your partner will convince you, and the will of God will be done, as he said. Oh yes, the will of God. I've seen it severally. And so once you want to marry, isn't it, in future, when the time is up, good. But would you want to go and do all the tests we are talking about? Good. So that's why what we read from Hosea is very key. Because of lack of knowledge, people perish. Perishing, as the theologians will explain, we perish in terms of getting sicknesses and die, perish for so many other things. Especially you may not get the sickness and die, but you live with where you are spending almost all your fortune on treating conditions. That is it. That's why our Creator has given us a lot of knowledge, like he mentioned. This day and age, a lot of information abound. And so, for you to be able to perish because of knowledge, then you are somebody else. So in genetic counseling, we usually want to look at the area where we have the possibility of affecting innocent lives. That's why we put it, innocent lives. People, children who are not yet born, and their children's children. So when you look at genetic counseling, we are looking at long-term generational impact. A wise decision you make today is for so many generations to come. Because when you make a wrong decision today, it's going to affect the generation, the following generation, and so forth. If you don't have the immediate impact, your children, your children's children, like that. So in genetic counseling, we usually want to look at helping people so that we can avoid conflicts, you know. Like she was telling me at the church, she said, oh, and in fact, she didn't open her mouth to tell me I've regretted, but that was the conversation, her demeanor and everything. But she felt so much to marry. Then the question I said, are you going to marry without children? Hey, you want to marry on Mama? Hey, I said, and this is about your offspring we are talking about. Oh, Mama, this is a chance. In fact, she used a lot, because she was a health assistant, she could tell me a lot of things. She even, at a point, deceived the guy. Because when we started talking about the things, the guy was more or less talking about Down syndrome, which was not it. So when I started showing pictures and telling him about things, then said, but you were showing me something. Oh, no, that was also different. So she wanted to brush this thing off, and eventually I could see that she had made up her mind. Even seeing them off to the gate, I walked them all the way to the gate so that we could walk from my house. I engaged her alone because the guy was very easy to. The guy was not a health worker and not so much learned. He was a mechanic. So I could see the lady was controlling the guy. So yeah, even when they went home, the guy called me. And the guy said, so madam, I should do the test. I said, yes, you have done the test. This one is not about that. You are AS, she's AS. And the implications I showed to you, he said, hey, so madam, what do? We have bought her things. I said, buying the things will be less expensive compared to entering into the marriage. And this lady told me that the guy even told her, go and give birth in your mother's place if luck comes your way. And unfortunately, the baby came SS. And so, Adventists will not dissolve the marriage, but it will be like a broken, hanging marriage like that. Since she delivered over 6 months, she had not moved back to the husband's house because the guy wouldn't want to see her. So she should remain in her mother's place and handle. So they be meeting in church. It's on church service that day because they come from different places to meet. And the lady had changed. When she came to me, she was so beautiful compared to when I saw her. So we are talking about avoiding conflict, separation, divorce, and in fact, being able to enjoy your marriage. It doesn't mean people who do not have genetic problems are enjoying. No, but at least those are avoidable things. Before marriage, there are things you cannot see. There are things you cannot control. But those that are within your power to control them. That's all that we are saying. You see the person is a womanizer. Oh, I will change him. Are you the God who created heaven and earth to go and change him? These are the things we talk about. You have seen it. So when you see it coming, you don't blame somebody. It's the same thing. But you know, when it comes to genetic counseling, it's more technical. That's why we want to discuss it and see the prevention and all of that. In genetic counseling, we are looking at where we provide information regarding your risk of developing a genetic condition or transmitting the genetic condition to the next generation. That is where our concentration is. You have the risk, and if it remains with you, fine, but also affecting the next generation, and their generation affecting the next, and so forth. In some communities, they've used genetic counseling to affect their communities positively. If you look at the black community in America and all of that, they do genetic counseling, so they call it positive eugenesis. What they do is that if I have this and you don't have, then we will pay. So that the next thing is that you even eliminate the condition, because eventually nobody will have it. But as for us here, we don't have that in-depth information or knowledge about it. We usually would prefer to go in because I love the person. But I believe that when you love somebody, you protect the person, isn't it? If you love the person, you want the person to be well protected. And so anything affecting the person. So you love that man. That's why the children you want to give birth to with the man, you want to protect them. You don't want to give birth to children who will be draining the man's pocket, who will be depriving the man of sleep, depriving the man of any other enjoyment because you love the person. But ours is not like that. I love the person, so I won't do the tests. Yeah, that's what I see. You know, we are not talking about HIV, but I did counseling for a policeman and a young lady. When they came, the policeman was a bit older than the lady. So I could see that the lady could not make much decision for herself. Everything was about, because she had then completed training college, teacher training, and she was going to be posted. The father referred, I went to their church for health education. So the man called me and said, oh, my daughter is going to get married. I want her to come to you. I did individual counseling. Between the two of us, the lady was ready to do HIV test and others. But when I did combined counseling, the gentleman's decision prevailed. No, we won't do it, madam. I said, why? We won't do it. This lady was a virgin who had never seen a man before. But the gentleman was somebody who had divorced from his previous marriage. He had a child. So I didn't see why the lady should say, I won't do the test. But you cannot force them. We spoke and spoke and spoke. So when they all left, I gave them some time to go and think about it. The father called me. How did it go? Well, your daughter says she doesn't want to do the test. And she has to do it, oh. That guy is a womanizer. He's a very strong womanizer. I said, but you are not your daughter. She came to me and said, no, Anna, has he slept with her already? I said, no. She confided in me that they've not, even the gentleman alone said, no, I have not slept with her. So why don't you want her to do it? So I insisted then the guy alone should do the test and bring it to me. He went to do it. He came, he was HIV positive. He didn't want to, so I told him if he doesn't want to do, I will inform the church. So it was more or less like a threat. So he went to do it and brought it. I said, so you are positive and you don't want her to test? But madam, when we all go and do, what will happen? What will you tell her? I said, she has to know you are positive. That is your faith, your test of faithfulness. So she makes a choice. So he told me, oh, then madam, we were even so as if he was angry. And I called the father again and said, I insist your daughter goes for the test. I cannot push. Madam, is there anything? I said, no. It is a wrong thing for me as a counselor. But I still want your daughter to come and see me alone. She came alone, and she had become so strong-headed that time. Even that day, she was a bit angry. And I couldn't tell her too that the guy is positive. It's against counseling ethics. So I don't told the gentleman that I will go further and prevent the marriage with so many other things. So he then came to me and said, okay, madam, you can tell. So we had the discussion, and they had to end the marriage. Eventually, he came and said, I'm ready to let her know. I said, let her go and do the tests and come. She went, and then she was negative. Doesn't mean it's only through sexual. You can receive blood and others. But she was negative. And then after 3 days, she came and said, madam, so you were saving me. So that is what counseling is all about. We expose you to knowledge, make informed decisions, informed choices. But your choices will be made for your man, for you. Did you see that? I don't even know what he did to me. Because when I was coming, I was ready to come and do the test. And even people had called to tell me that he's a womanizer. But that day, she was even angry. So in genetic counseling, you communicate. It's a communication process where we give information about hereditary conditions that we explain and discuss so that you will make a choice. Sometimes it's not for you to stop the relationship, but you get to know that my partner has a tendency to develop hypertension, for example. So when I'm going to cook, I even know the things my husband will eat. It's not all about stopping the marriage. That is the misconception about genetic counseling. Because we have situations where people are more prone to developing hypertension, diabetes, and others. So when you let the partner know, it becomes a helpful thing so that whatever the partner should not eat or should be doing, like engage in exercise and all, I will encourage my partner that will be doing exercise because it is good for you. That is all. But people have the misconception that the moment you talk about genetic counseling, then we are going to tell you that my boyfriend or my girlfriend that I have selected, I should leave the person. That is not it. So in genetic counseling, we give an individual information about how genetic conditions might affect the family. Sometimes it's not about money alone, but your peace of mind. Your child is not sleeping. He's crying throughout the night. How can you sleep? Your child is not growing to the expectation. You see the age group and that person alone, your daughter is supposed to be 15 years and you look like a 10-year-old or 8-year-old and you are not happy to even show her to public. For the past week, we have been doing some training for hematology department. So yesterday, a very bad or sad issue happened. A teacher beat a boy. And the boy had a boil or swelling here? And he hit the head with the ruler. And the thing got burst. When the woman reached us yesterday, the full cloth like this was soaked with blood, not knowing the boy was a hemophilia. And this woman was coming from Kede. You know where Kede is? Very early in the morning when this boy went to school, that happened. He was playing stubborn. So the teacher hit here with the ruler, not knowing there was a boil or something here. And then it hit it and it got broken because it's a hemophilic. And they never knew. So the whole cloth, the woman used it was just dripping out. The blood was coming like something. And this was Kolebu yesterday. And the boy had to be transfused and they did the hemophilia factor and the boy was. They went through the records and they saw that when the mother delivered this boy during circumcision that they noticed, and she never followed up again. You know where she's coming from. Even when she came, a farmer. And it was God who saved this boy's life from in a passenger car. And all they said, the blood was just oozing like that. So she used her cloth to tie the head. And then now this teacher is in the grip of police. They've arrested him. But if you look at the narration, he didn't actually beat him so much. He had not knowing there was something. The mother said that some few days ago, he had that swollen thing. And so the ruler, it had become so soft. And because he was a hemophilic, I'm sure it contributed to what was happening. Even you yourself, you cannot even control such stubbornness. And so genetic counseling, we talk about helping people, individuals, couples, family members to understand so that they can adapt to certain conditions. That is basically what we do. So the counselees should be helped to adequately interpret and act upon genetic information. That is all. So that when you see this, you can say, oh, this is what it means. In genetic counseling, we focus on variable clinical manifestations, and then we are able to do some small things for you to know. You are not a health expert to know details about it, but at least small features that you can see that, no, my child is going through this. So let me, especially those who will not be ready to say, because some people get married before they even see that they have this. But those of us who are privileged to get the information before marriage, it is the best. Usually, like Mr. Ansadu said, I initiated it for in my marriage like this. I would say because I'm a nurse. In fact, when we went to the pastor doing the counseling, I outlined the various tests he has to let me do. I was writing them. And then he said, hey, I'm counseling. Yes, because those days, I know the Seventh-day Adventist ministers, if not at all, HIV was a requirement. But when I took the pen and paper and started writing so many, he said, hey, me HIV is in Kwani Ekoyo, and I'm saying, no, you said, I said, these are money, but we have to do them. These are very important tests we have to do. Okay, if only, and we were fortunate, or some of us were fortunate to have the men who were ready to go and do it. Unlike Mr. Ohinibent, who said, I will not do it. Why should I do it? The questions, that's what he asked questions. Why should I do it? All right, so young adults should be offered adequate and timely genetic counseling. Unfortunately, this is a university full of young people. But like we said last week, the place is empty. I hope they are watching us so that they can learn. Opportunities are given because not all had it. we saw that 50 years ago they didn't have it, but their parents were able to say that these people and all of that, so that we are able to, especially when we do that, we are able to communicate the risk of inheritance. The inheritance, the age that the thing may start. We are able to communicate and educate and support you if you still insist you want to. And then potential resource, and then the implication, if I have this resource, what does it mean? And so forth. But the key thing is that we want to help the family to be aware. If you want to continue, then you should be aware that this is what is there. So in genetic counseling, we can do it for diagnosis. We can use it to diagnose conditions. We can also provide advice to individuals. We are also able to provide predictive testing, especially when we talk about you can do these things and then you can see that these are the conditions you can suffer from. We also provide it to people who have already, they are going to make a decision so that the couple or the would-be couple. So let's say if people have already taken the decision, they've made a decision, prenatal, before they get pregnant, what are the things to expect? I've already committed myself, and this is the condition I'm likely to have my children. So now that I'm going to get pregnant, what should I do? So that's what we call the prenatal. And then we also do during the time that they are pregnant, and then the time when they deliver. And then we also provide risk advice where a family member has the disorder, but we protect them for long life, and then exposure and all of that. So what processes do we take the people through? During the genetic counseling process, we are able to have sessions. In fact, we call family members, friends, and people who are related. So when we do that, we reduce anxiety. Some people have the condition. They know, as for this family, this runs due. But when we do genetic counseling, we reduce their anxieties. Even though you can have those kind of things in your family, when you have more knowledge, you see that your anxiety is down, and then you help them to identify any other psychosocial or psychological issues with them. So we have mentioned the reasons, and most of them, but we say that it helps us to be able to identify our partners and their risk. We are able to also get to know history about certain, in fact, in some people, because of genetic issues, that's why they are not even having children. It's not that they won't have children, but for the two of them, when they separate, you see that they go have their own children. We're also able to look at pregnancy, how they can go through it. In fact, genetic counseling also helps us to even do assisted reproductive technology, the last time what we spoke about. So we are able to, so during pregnancy, we walk you through what are the things that will happen so that you don't have, or even when you get a child, you are able to go through smoothly. And then during caring for your children, you are able to, because there are some conditions that are related in childhood. And then your own health. I mentioned hypertension, diabetes, and others. They are all genetic conditions. So when you have genetic counseling, you can manage them. So now, so what is done during that time? What we do is that when you come, we discuss clinical information that you need, and then especially where we are interested is the, I don't know why my light is not coming, the pattern of inheritance. That's where we usually discuss for you to see, and then chances of the recurrence of whatever you might encounter. And then another key area during genetic counseling is for you to know the availability of tests. The tests, the procedures you have to go through, so that you can know that, oh, as for this test, I can go here, I can go there. And when I go, these are the right tests I have to do. There are some who have been asked to go and waste a lot of money, but they did not do those kind of tests. So during that time, we are able, and even the reproductive options, if you are ready to give birth or not. You may tell you that don't even have children at all, but you can marry. So those who are interested in just having companions, they will just marry without having children. So these are some things that we do. It's surprising. There are some cultures, they don't place more premium on having children. So they don't have a problem. You know, the Western world, my uncle's, one of my uncles, the wife is a white, an American. He said, as for me, I will not give birth. And my uncle agreed. And they got married. Said the first year passed. The second year passed. Say, hey, Asantini Bema Pam. An Asante man like me, I'm going to stay without children. Hey, and this is a lawyer, and anywhere he's going, this lady is following him. He decided that no, you come and marry in Ghana. And then one of the times that they were having, he said, me, I will kill you and go and kill whoever. And then he realized that. And so he said, one day I just had to get up, and then I woke up and said, hey, get up, sit down. I decided I will not have, but for now I've changed my mind. I've changed my mind. I am from a polygamous culture, so I can marry a second wife if you don't want to have children. And I'm sure that is what triggered her, and then they have a boy and a girl now. So me, I'm from a polygamous culture. My culture can permit me to marry more than one. Now that I've married you, I will not hide and marry for you to go and kill the person. I'm going to marry and have children because I have to leave legacy. My name should continue to exist. So I remember one of the days I went visiting and I saw this small baby. But the baby resembled the father so much. I asked my late uncle, who is this? He said, hey, they finally had children. I said, what happened? He said, go and ask him, he will explain to you. So I got closer. I said, what magic? I said, hey, no, one night I couldn't sleep. I woke up. I said, me, I will have children. So you see, there are certain decisions that we may do, we may make hurriedly. Oh, as for, I have done a lot of counseling when they say, oh, very soon we see the pattern of inheritance. It's as we give birth to the first and second, we won't give birth. Who told you that the first and the second might not be the sixth child? You see, those are some of the decisions. And because of the so-called love, your love should continue to exist even in the midst of the disease. If you say you love the person. And like I said, it's not everything that love will conquer. Love conquers everything. It is not everything that you love. It is God's love that conquers everything, not human beings' love. Yes, we will subject this to debate. It is God's love. God's love. Because for him, even once we are yet sinners, when we are yet sinners, he came to die for us. For him, but your small love, you give conditions. And so, in fact, I love the person. If I remember one person I was counseling, and my husband had been using it to teach that the person, I said, me draw no. The way he rode the tank, I love her. Hey, it didn't take, they were all AS. And they were, madam, me draw no. I turned and looked at the lady again. I said, well, the love that the man had could not stand the test of time. When the first one came, the second one, they had 3 of them, sickle cell. Before we noticed, he had run away. A 7-day Adventist. He said that sickness runs in the family of that woman. You see? He said, me draw no. Love runs, diseases run through the family of that lady. So, and you know, when he left the lady, he went to marry somebody who was AA. Because now he knew. And so, started having children. Then he came to, sarcastically to tell the lady, you see, I told you, it's your family that have sicknesses. Look at the new one. His mistake. So the love that we are talking about, it is not the love that Jesus had for us. It is a human love. And that love can fade. Anything can disrupt that love. That's why we need to be very sure that we do the right thing. All right, so I want us to look at what are all this. We are talking about genetic counseling. So what is it that we are talking about? We are looking at genes. Individuals, we are made up of cells. And our cells are inside the cells, we have the genes. And the genes are, some people say they are the blueprints or the coded messages that determine the person's characteristics or your traits. So for you to be tall or short, for you to be fat or slim, for you to be hairy, whatever, anything we see, it is the genes that determine them. So just as the genes can determine your physical characteristics, it also determines diseases. So everything that is about us, we inherit them. So these genes determine whatever we have and we are. And so these genes are arranged on the 23 rod-like structures we call chromosomes. At least it's a small science we are going in. Our bodies are made up of small things, and these are the cells. And the cells put together continuously, and then we have a human being. And this human being, on the cells, we have the chromosomes. And then inscripted on the chromosomes are genes. And so these genes are giving us our characteristics. So let's say if it is the computer, we say that would be what? Computer people, that is is it the hard part or the software? Is the software? The hardware. Okay. So everything that comes is coming from the genes. And everybody who you are half of your mother, half of your father. So you take half from your mother, half from your father, 50-50. And that is what makes you. So sometimes you see somebody and the child looks like the father, but when you meet the mother, it also looks like the mother because it's taken from both parents. In some instances, we inherit certain things that will make us resemble a bit skewed to either the mother or the father. But whatever it is, we get them from both parents. And so when I get the good things, I also get the bad things. That's how it is. So some conditions like albinism, we have a condition we look very soon, we call a Marfan syndrome, sickle cell disease, thalassemia, and others. They are all genetic conditions. We get them from parents. And if you look at the chromosomes, like I said, the chromosomes, apart from the one that determine our gender, all of them, 22 of them, we call them the 22 non-sex chromosomes. They are the ones we are talking about. The 23rd one is either you have XX or XY. So if it's XY, then you are a male. If you are XX, you are a female. It is also very important to note the XX and the XY. The reason is that there are certain conditions that are attached to only the X. So we call it the X-linked diseases. So that one, the woman will be giving it to children who have the X, especially boys, because boys have only one X. So if one X is diseased, it's going to attach to Y. So it's only the boy who will have it. But if one X is diseased and the other one has no problem, the woman will have no problem, but will carry it and give it to her future children. So we'll get to know them very soon. So these are the things that we inherit. And we are also able to look at these three things, and then we will now launch into the various tests you can do. One, we call it the autosomal dominant inheritance. When we say autosomal, why is my light not coming? When we say autosomal, what it means is that it occurs when a child receives a normal gene from one parent and a defective gene from the other parent. That's why we say autosomal dominant. Here, we are saying that we need one from the mother, one from the father to have the disease. But in this sense, only one of them is enough to cause the disease. So you don't need both of them to donate. When one donates, it's enough for you to suffer the disease. I'm explaining that when we say autosomal dominant inheritance, it means that the child needs only one of the parents' gene to suffer the disease. Because in that instance, that gene is strong enough to cause a disease. We call it dominant. And so that is what happens. That means that with autosomal, it means the genetic mutation can occur on any of the 22 non-sex chromosomes in the body. So any of them, from the 1 to the 22nd, it can occur anywhere. And when it happens to the 1, whatever disease the 1 will provide, it will give it out. And you need only one parent. That's why it is called dominant. So the dominant means that only one parent needs to pass along the abnormal gene in order to produce the disorder in the child. Here, you don't need the mother and the father. So if the problem is with the mother, when she gives it to the child will suffer. If it's with the father gives it. You don't need the two. So we call it autosomal dominant. So we have diseases like that. So for example, males and females, we all suffer this condition. We have another one we call autosomal recessive. With the autosomal recessive, you need the two parents before you can be sick. They are not dominant. It's recessive, means that it's quiet. But when the two quiet means they will make noise. Are we fine? So in simple terms, when this one is so quiet, when it is attached to a normal one, it doesn't make any noise. When this one too is attached, but when the small quiet one and this quiet one meet, then they will make noise. So with the autosomal recessive, you need both parents to contribute 50%. 50-50. I believe this one is clear. That is where we will now get to understand that in children with this coming from such parents, they have about 25% chance of inheriting the disease. 25%. But with the dominant, they have 50% because only one parent will give you. But the 25 means that I need the mother and the father both to have the traits so that I can suffer the condition. That is the autosomal recessive. I've mentioned autosomal dominant, where you need only one parent to donate and the child is sick. You have the autosomal recessive, you need two parents. And then the last one is the sex X link. This one, the disease is attached to only the X chromosome. And I mentioned that females are XX. This is what determines the gender. And then the male is XY. That means that any male, even if he will has half, because the Y doesn't have a problem. But a woman has two X's. So if the conditions will affect the two X's, then the woman is even in trouble. But most of the time, one of the X is affected. So as for that woman, she has one abnormal and one normal. So if I'm to give birth to a female, and I donate my normal X to my female, and my husband's X to that female, that makes that person a female. If my husband's X is diseased, at worst, my female child will become a carrier. He will not be sick, but will carry something that will make her so at risk to give it to other people. She herself will not suffer the condition, but she will become a distributor. Because she is carrying the diseased gene in one of the X. So anytime, because for her, the only thing she can do is, as I stand here, I always donate X. That's why we say it is the man who determines the gender. For me, from creation, God has made me that, Stella, you can give birth to only females. Every female has been determined from your conception that you are going to give birth to only girls because I have only XX in me. But the man has the X and the Y. So the man determines what baby should be born. Whether a male or a female, it depends solely on the man. That is why God allowed Adam to name the wife. So that's why our children carry surnames. They don't say other names. It is the man who made the baby. So the man says, you are Kwesi. You are, what's your first name? Ma'am? Toyi. Good. Toyi. And then when you came and you decided to join with Pastor, then you became Toyi Olabi. He had that power to say you are Toyi Olabi. That is it. Now your children are all Olabi because he determined them. That is why when we have the X link, God is wonderful. Yes, and He has made us so wonderful that we. Even though you want to change it can never. You can't change the chromosome. You can't change the transcription. You can't change the transcription. Those who want to do this, as we know, you can't change that. That one is something you are made of. So they may take drugs to suppress something like that, but they are unable to change it totally. That is what happens. So with the X link or the sex link recessive inheritance, it occurs when a mother carries the affected gene on one of the two X chromosomes and passes it to her son. So the moment it goes to her son, that son automatically is sick of the disease. Because that son has only one X, and that X that was given to that son was a sick X. But if that sick X is given to the X from the man, because the mother who is carrying it, so the father's X has no problem coming to the baby. So when the mother's X that has a problem goes to the baby girl, she will still become a carrier. She will not suffer it because the man gave her a normal X, a correct one. But the challenge is that this female is now a carrier, and her future children are at risk. If she goes to meet a son who was born by this woman, that son is already having the X that has a disease. So if that X should come and meet the woman's disease X, then you have a full-blown female with the disease. Because now she will get two X's that are sick. So that is so we have the three patterns of the genetic inheritance. We have the autosomal dominant, where you have 50%. We have the autosomal recessive, where you have 25%. And then we have the X link, where it comes from only the mother. The X is the only problem. And we'll see some of the disease very soon. So daughters also have 50% chance of inheriting the defective, as I've explained. And then the males will have the disease. So in all that I've explained, this is how it is. So an individual, as you are made up of the cells. And then, it's my light not coming. It's a new battery. But it comes over. It's the thing that is not allowing it. Okay. So the cell, as we see, each cell has the chromosomes. And then on the chromosomes, we have the DNA, where we have the genes. And so the genes will carry. So if you look at this one, we can see that your ability to sing well, to read well, all those things, you inherit them from your parents. So I remember there was a joke of a man who was always beating the son that he is weak in school. Only to go and find the father's mass 2/100. He said, Daddy. Looking through, this one is better. It doesn't work on the screen. Okay. So he just put it quietly. The father came, the results came. He said, you, look at you. You always say, but Daddy, this one, mine is better than this one. So, stupid boy, during your time, my time, we didn't have books. So you see their heads bigger. It's because they've been using it to make more blood every month. And they have sores that do not heal. A croton who emuda. It's because of the low oxygen carrying capacity of their hemoglobin. So this wound, we had one guy in Kumasi, the wound was there for over 5 years, where every time you see bandages on them because the wound is not healing. And then they also have protruded abdomen. And in fact, some of them, when they go to school, they say that they have swallowed the head of somebody. They are witches and all of that. So these are some of the things. And I believe, and so I want to find out, can your lab survive the genotype test? Mrs. Olabi, the question to the young people, can their lab survive the test? They should practice it.
When I'm dating my husband,
Yeah.
so I insisted that we should go for checkup for test something.
Yes.
And he said, don't bother yourself. Even if you are SS, I will marry you.
Hey.
I don't know, maybe you know that he is AA, you understand? So what I'm saying is that I'm not saying,
Oh, yeah.
but the love.
Yeah.
When you love somebody,
Yeah.
you know,
You if you don't take it, you don't even think.
you will not even think of going for this and that.
Okay. Love is sweet, eh? You can do abnormal things. So here we are looking at the survivor of the genotype. This is ASAS. These are carriers. People who are all carrying the tendency for sickle cell disease. And so if you look at them, this is AS and this is AC. The C is a sickle cell. The S is a sickle cell. But this person has a trait, and this person also has a trait. I projected this one because we have always been having the problem with this one. When you go to do ordinary sickling tests, if you are AC, it gives you negative, just like somebody who is AA. Because the sickling test is not able to pick the C. It's able to pick only the S. So the C will not be picked. That's why we don't want you to go and do sickling tests. Because if you are AC, you will become negative just like somebody who is AA. The test was made to pick only the S. So we encourage people to do what we call HB electrophoresis. I will project it so you write it. It's there. The HB, so when you go, you don't tell the person I'm coming to do sickling test. You only tell the person I want to know whether I'm AS, AA, whatever. They know the test they will do for you. Don't go and tell sickling test. If you say sickling test, they will do sickling tests because we have that test. And that is able to isolate only S. So if I'm AS, I will be. We had a professor from a university. We were doing home visiting of children with sickle cell disease. It's a project. We owe that one to the late Professor Kwaku Ohene Frimpong, who passed on 2 years ago. He was from Kokorantumi, the son of this country, and he completed Prempeh College. When he completed, he had a scholarship to study in the U.S. by the U.S. government in Philadelphia. So when he went into studying sickle cell disease. So he had a whole sponsor from the U.S. government. So we started newborn screening for children with sickle cell. At least when you give birth, we'll check the baby at birth to see if the child has sickle cell or not. So we will follow up on them, and it has helped spread the whole Ghana. But we cannot forget the one who started sickle cell project in Ghana, Professor Konote Ahulo. He's a Ghan. He started it in the 70s. Professor Konote Ahulo, he is alive. He's in UK. He came up with the first thing in Ghana, and subsequently this professor came to continue. So we went to this lady's house through community of nurses, and this lady's baby was SC, like the one here, SC. So usually when we see this, we invite the two of you, because the woman alone cannot come because she didn't donate alone. You all shared the donation. Remember, there's S here and there's C. So we invited them. He's a university lecturer. So he came in his regalia. He came to sit with us. When we walked him through, we told him that, oh, the baby is SC. Then it's not my child. Because when we were going to marry, me, I was negative. My wife too was negative. I said, yes, the negative has brought this. And that's why we want to talk with you. Your wife was AC. So the test you did was not the appropriate one. You did sickling test. That was what the marriage counselors made them do. What are you talking about? I said, yes, you did sickling. You said you did sickling test. And your wife, in fact, they did it with Medilab. So they had a card. So you could see the ladies, they had written negative. But when you do the electrophoresis, you get the genotype. So your wife, your wife to be was AC. She wasn't actually negative, but the C was not detected. What? Then I wouldn't have married her. As if it was a joke. He walked out of the consulting room, took his car, left the lady with us and the baby. And the lady started crying. She took her car and left for the house. The following month, for her review, she came alone. Said that the guy said he cannot follow her. I don't know where the love flew to. Medrono. So now we encourage that we do the HB electrophoresis so that you don't say, oh, I'm sickling negative. We don't want that pronunciation. We want you to mention your genotype. What genes are you wearing? Me, I wear AS. That's my genes. I don't know your genes. Most students here don't know the genes they are wearing. Abigail, do you know your genes you are wearing? AA. So you wear gene AA. Okay. My genes is AS. I'm AS. You are AS. Good. And you know, my first son, David, is AS. Dennis is AS. So imagine if I had not made my correct choice. And I said that because all the first of them, I should have had the first son to be AA. The next one would have been the AS. But the first two of them are all AS. That is what we are talking about. I have seen families that one woman came with 4 of them. And when she's coming, in fact, there was a time she came with all of them in crisis. And she had a taxi. And the man had run away. So one was lying here, one was lying here. And the taxi driver was using one hand to hold the other and was driving. When the taxi came to the sickle cell clinic, blowing the horn, baby, we went there, we had to carry some. It was not easy until they started passing one after the other. As of the time I was leaving them, they were left with 2. You can have all, like he said, what you use? Is that the probability is what? Oh, that was not there. Oh, okay. Permutation. Yes, this one is one of 25%. So please, and the 25% is a chance. You can give birth to all of them AA without any problem. In fact, we have seen that too. Somebody too, with the faith, the 2 of them, they have 2 children. All the 2 are AS, like my first 2 children, and they stopped. We have some who also have all sickle cell. So that is what we are talking about. And then this is the AS people. For this one, the sickling will give you the S, but we don't encourage that. So you can see that this one, the AS, they have the SS. And then they have the AS, and the AA. In fact, if it had gone like that, so me, I'm AS. My husband is AA. So this one will not apply to me. What may happen is that I may have AA and all of them who will come will be AS. That's about I have 2 AS and I have 2 AA. So that is what we are talking about. So the usual thing is that this is, if you have the what Mom was saying, the AA and the SS, this is what we want. If the person is sickle cell, then you see that all of them are traits. That's how it will be. But if this person doesn't marry somebody who is A and goes to marry a trait, there will be a problem. All right, so how will I know? The genotype test, this is probably one of the must-do tests. So this is the test that lets you know whether you are AA, AS, SS, AC, or SC. And this test should be done from the very beginning of the relationship, not when you are going for counseling. You heard what I was saying. Not when you have started counseling. Unfortunately, that is what we have been doing. But it should be right from the beginning so that you don't go far. That's what we promote. So, ladies and gentlemen here, don't go and be dating the person for 10 years before you go and check. Right from the beginning, I want to take this relationship serious, but I've listened to a talk. So let's try to, if you check and it doesn't end up marriage, it's okay. But you don't, and then you all put your and then you put yourself inside the relationship. In fact, if I say you put yourself inside you understand what I mean. Yourself will go inside. How do you say it in English? Yourself, in fact, you have contributed more than you are supposed to do. You have, that is a financial language. You have invested so much that it's difficult for you to pull. But that time, it has become too late. And so, right from the beginning, that is why we call the HB electrophoresis. And this one is what, wherever you want to go, whichever lab you want to go, you write it, and then you go and show it to them.